Alrighty, friends, we are back. It's your favorite podcast of the week. It's Location Weekly. This is episode number 684, and we're recording on August the 26th. Brianna, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's like the last rush before school starts for us. So kids are home, not in camp, but we're still working. It's like that fun balance of chaos. Heading into Labor Day weekend coming up. But everything's good. How are you?
Yeah, same. It's that last little hurrah before the Labor Day long weekend, and lots of things that you want to try to fit in. Probably only half of them will happen. It's just one of those things. But then it's like you rush to like get it all in before that long weekend, and then like at least here in Toronto, like the weather's still good for like another 2 months. So it's like you don't really have to pack it all in, but it's kind of like with the back to school and everything else, it's like you feel like you do. So
Yeah.
yeah, but anyhow, yeah, and other than that, baseball season's winding down. Interesting. I was watching a little bit earlier today with the Jays are in Boston with this doubleheader. I don't know if you followed any of that, but um, they have to do this doubleheader today because they were playing back in May, and there was a rain, like a game suspended for rain in the second inning. And Danny Jansen, who was the Blue Jays catcher who was at bat when the game was suspended, has since been traded to the Boston Red Sox at the trade deadline. So today, when the game resumes and they have to replay it, one of these quirky rules, he's the first player ever in baseball to actually play for both teams in the same game.
That's so wild, right?
It's so crazy. Yeah. Like he literally was in the lineup card for the Jays when the game started and then like catched, for the Red Sox at the bottom of the same inning. Like just insane. So
Crazy. It'll be
yeah.
fun.
Quirky baseball things. Yeah. Anyhow, we have a good show for you, four stories that we'll walk you through this week as usual, and I'll let Aubriana kick us off.
All right. Well, local grocer here, ShopRite, is now adding grocery TVs, in-store retail media network to some of their pharmacies. So what that means is they have announced that this partnership now will provide the pharmaceutical department in ShopRite with and brand partners with retailer messaging. So health and wellness content. Think of like CPG brands that sell over the counter there. Any of these things can be available to be seen on this grocery TV. So it's third party partnerships. They're growing among grocers. We've been talking about this a lot with media networks, and really they want to drive purchases. That's what every advertiser wants to do, and they want it to be more, personalized, contextual, and relevant. So ShopRite's not the only grocer that's using the grocery TV's in-store digital pharmacy solution. But they're thinking, okay, pharmacy typically has a higher wait time. People are waiting for their prescriptions to be filled. So it gives some attention and time for people to look at these screens. I think that in-store, screenage, in-store, out-of-home digital screenage has been growing a lot as well. I know several different players are kind of testing this out and trying to figure out how to target, how to measure, how do they extend this across other media opportunities. But right now, they're really just promoting like prescription saving programs, pharmacy information, promoting some health related offerings, different things like that. So, this is Grocery TV's debut into pharmacy, according to the story that we were reading about here. And I'm not sure how many ShopRite stores are doing this, but I think, it makes me think of like gas station TV. We see that everywhere we go when we pump gas now. And I think it's just now starting to take off inside of the stores as well. So I think this is going to be interesting to see how it develops because you might have more dwell time or more engagement inside of a store versus while you're pumping gas. But I think there's a lot of opportunities and it'll be interesting to see how this grows. But apparently they started here in New York City, so maybe I will have to check out. I don't go into ShopRite that often, but maybe I'll pass by and see if it's anything worth noting. What do you think?
Yeah, not a lot to add to this one. I mean, it's we've covered a lot of stories about retail media networks lately, and I think if you're a retailer that is carrying CPG brand products in your store, be it a grocery or a pharmacy or a big box, I think you have to be in this space. I think the brands are looking for ways to engage with the audience that you have in those stores. I think if you can put the right content in front of those people in that context in the right place at the right time. It makes a lot of sense. I don't know from this particular story what, grocery TV is doing in terms of, the measurement and attribution side of this. Yeah, I know we've talked a lot about that with some of the other players in this space. And, I think the brands and their agencies are looking for, the data side of this to say, how many people, walked by that screen or saw that ad or, how many eyeballs did it capture and, what kind of geofencing, is there and all those kinds of things. So I think, there's a lot of power in these things. I see still a lot of growth to come in this space. You mentioned gas station TV, and I kind of, touched on them a little bit last week in one of our other stories with TikTok because, we're seeing, that short form content that TikTok does, make its way to gas station TV and starting to make its way into these, retail media networks as well. So, what role does that play, in a network like grocery TV has, I think has to, should be explored as well. So, but I like it. I think it's a good partnership. And, I think as we see more growth in the space, we'll see these players that are, coming from retail, or sort of, grocery, move into other categories like pharma. And potentially even beyond into QSR. I was talking to a guy this morning in the QSR space, and they're watching closely, or his particular company is watching closely the retail media network space. Mind you, they've had in that industry, you know, um, digital menu boards for a long time. But is there a way to sort of improve, content delivery, attribution, and measurement, and take some lessons learned from this space into that space? There might be some potential there as well. So,
Yep.
all right. Second story now, we're going to jump over to China, where there is a smartwatch brand called Mibro. It's Mibro. And they are out of Zenshi Technology, which is a Shenzhen, China-based company. And they've announced a new partnership with Here Technologies. And these are smartwatches that are really focused on kids in particular, or this particular application. So it's all about safety and security features of the Mibro Kids watch phones. And so they've got a number of different models of this thing. And so basically, if you've got this in EMEA or Southeast Asia, they've now launched this 7-system positioning capability that accurately tracks children's locations, provides real-time views of their journeys, in a safety framework, right? So, not unlike some of the, other tracking services we've talked about before, from Locate and other companies over the years, but specifically tied to a watch that, this particular company makes. So powering this now, they are using the Here reverse geocoding API to translate the locations, into precise addresses. They've embedded the Here SDK into these watches for into the app, sorry, for map interactions. But again, all of this is in the name of safety and being able to know where your kids are, in particular young kids. So I would think there's some application here in particular. And they also say, I should point out that the parents can access the children's real-time location, but the historical data is only kept for 90 days. So, I guess that's a good thing. Any thoughts from you?
I think there's so much opportunity, honestly, with kids and like the smartwatches in the industry today. Recently, like last year, we got my daughter an Apple Watch, and I liked the idea of that because one, my husband and I both have iPhones, our family has iPhones, so it's easy to communicate. She can text, she can call, but it kind of alleviates the pressure and a lot of like the challenges with having a young daughter and not wanting them to have access to a lot of social media and things like that at this point in time. Though downfall for me, honestly, is that whenever I look at her location, it's like she could be anywhere in this circle, and that circle is pretty big, to
Yeah,
be honest. When you think about being able to locate your children, I think it's really important that you can find them, pretty down to like the block and down to the house, like where is my child? And so I think that there's, pros and cons. I think you want to have an accurate read on where your children are, and you want it to be as up to date as possible. So I think there's just like a lot of opportunity in incorporating capabilities like this into maybe existing products or something that can actually grow with a kid. Um, so I like hearing that it's still a focus for tech companies. So I don't know. And here we know has like wonderful mapping capabilities. So I could only imagine that it would be a step in the right direction.
absolutely. Okay.
All right, so going back to the retail side of things, we're gonna have a little update from Best Buy, and they are jumping in with delivery tracking and AI technology. So what they're really doing is providing access for customers. Let's say you go and you have a big purchase, something like a dishwasher or a television or a refrigerator. Well, now there's a way to access live tracking of the product deliveries for these in-home installation services. Really it's like I can go on the day of delivery once a driver is beginning the route, think a la Amazon. The app's going to use that real-time traffic data and provide views of the drivers along the delivery route. So when the customer's house is next on the list for delivery, Best Buy said that the map will zoom into more of like the street level view and provide this, up to date, like minute by minute time of arrival, and then send kind of notification right before the driver arrives. So, I think this is a great thing to know. Everybody's like really wanting to be there when they have something like this delivered. You usually need to be there to sign and give somebody access to your home to install things like that. So it's nice just to be able to kind of know where they are and plan your day around that. I think there's a lot of frustration when it comes to these types of things. And so anything you can do to make the actual experience of getting, the big thing that you're having show up is almost as important as how well it works once it's there. A couple of other announcements is that back in April, there was a partnership with Google Cloud that introduced this AI powered virtual assistant, that went live for Best Buy in the summer. And also, you're going to be able to use this tool to troubleshoot product issues. So you can manage like memberships, any deliveries, give customer service agents like these real-time recommendations. So it's working for not only the customers, but it's also working for Best Buy employees providing service to customers. So I think this is all good. It's nice to see like more and more applications of AI being used. And I think that this is a great use case for it, honestly. I think we get spoiled with like that Amazon minute by minute delivery or like the shop kind of delivery aspect of things. And whenever you can bring that into other places that you do make purchases, I think it's really helpful.
Yeah, I really like this. I mean, I've had a couple of experiences in particular with like Home Depot or brands like that where I've ordered, a big load of, wood or something to, build something or, garden products or whatever. And they give you this window, like, we'll deliver between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And so you're waiting around, that your house for like, this prolonged period of time not knowing exactly when they're going to arrive. So, if you could narrow that down and you could see and you can track, to the minute, you can say, oh, well, they're actually not going to be here until like quarter to two, then, I can actually, use that other time to do something more productive, right? So I see a lot of value in this, right? It's, if you can give that time back to people, if you can give them, comfort and accuracy in the data from this, and use AI to do that. And even like the street level, kind of view that they're talking about. It sounds super interesting. I'll have to reach out to Brian Tolzer, who's their head of digital and analytics, and see if we can learn a little bit more about this. But this would be a great story for like our retail local coming up, for example, in October in Atlanta. So. But really like it. I think it's a good set of new features that they've layered into the app here. Okay, final story now. So jumping back across the pond, this time we're going to go over to Africa, where a company called Vicinity Media, which is a Johannesburg-based media company, they've teamed up with iProspect-Dentsu for a campaign, an out-of-home campaign around the promotion of a TV show that is playing currently in Africa called Queen Modjadji, I think is how you say that. Modjadji. Yeah, something like that. I'm probably totally butchering it. But anyhow, I did some research on this. So this queen is a historical figure, real person in Zimbabwe, belonging to one of the tribes there, and is historically, like, it's one of these things where there's one queen and then the next generation, daughter of that queen is born and so on and so forth, and it's passed down over several generations. But apparently these are people with a lot of healing powers, and they have the ability to command the rain. And over from a history perspective, history is like something like, they would cause droughts and to their enemies, and rain and good weather for their friends. And so kind of smart in promoting this TV show, which highlights the historical figure and, talks about this, and, all the battles that go on for, who's going to be this next queen and all that kind of stuff that's in the TV show. What they've done is they've done this out of home campaign throughout Africa promoting this show, but in teaming up with WeatherTrac. And so the ads that you're seeing on these screens are triggered by the real weather data that's being fed in from WeatherTrac into the out of home campaign. And so the idea being is we're promoting this TV show about this queen that's the bringer of rain, when it's raining, in the actual where these screens are. And then they've got a all the screens are geofence, and they're measuring attribution and how many people are near them. So it's all using precise location data from that, so they can alter the content on the screens, whether it's raining or sunny or whatever is happening there. And so they say that they've seen a 93% increase in mobile click-through rates when the out-of-home campaign went live. And I know the show has just sort of been up and running now on TV for the last couple of weeks. So it seems like it's been a pretty effective campaign. Any quick thoughts from you?
No, I think it's great. I love the you can't stop the rain, like
Yeah.
play on words. I think it's really fun. And I think it's like just great to blend like history and the culture there with something that's like location based and weather related. What more could you ask for? So it's a win in my
Yeah, I
book.
love it. And now I have to, like, I didn't know about this queen.
Yeah.
And like I'm like a big fan of like historical dramas. Like I watch everything on, like whatever is out there, right? From Babylonian times to, the Romans to this to that, whatever. So now I'm gonna have to go find this show and like
Next.
this thing and like
Yeah.
get on this. So like thanks for putting that on my list now. So there you go.
Awesome.
Um, so that's it. That's our show for this week. A lot of we kind of bounced all over the world this week, but a lot of interesting things there, and a lot of good use of location technology in different ways. So you've been listening and watching episode number 684. As always, we thank you for your time. If you have story ideas, please reach out to us. If you have feedback, we want that too. If we talked about you on the show, your companies or your campaigns, reach out to us as well, and give us, the inside scoop. Give us a little more detail that we didn't get from what the news stories were saying. And yeah, for our all everybody else, we'll be back next week with another show. So thanks for hanging in there, and we'll see you then. Take care. Bye.
I'm